As a law firm, I know you struggle to generate leads. I know this because for the last 10 years, I've worked exclusively with law firms to help you generate more leads with marketing, but also the data shows it. This is a quote from a study from Martindale just this past year. It says, aside from dealing with difficult clients and long hours, lawyers say that the most challenging aspect of their job is generating new clients. Kind of created this perfect storm of so many lawyers, so much competition, and because of that, the rise in costs of it. But even more so is that there is a misunderstanding of how and where you should be spending your money. And I see this all the time when I talk to law firms, but again, also the data shows it too. This is a survey from the American Bar Association that polled law firms, shows how you guys are mostly spending your money. We see here that 48% are on event sponsorships, 42% LinkedIn, 41% email, 33% Facebook, 21% print media. The many conversations that I have, there's so much confusion about how to spend your money, where to spend your money, because of the level of competition, because you've been burned by agencies before in the past. So what I want to quickly do is I want to quickly show you this acquisition funnel that we have built over the years. We've run this with hundreds of law firms before. We've gotten really good results time and time again with this. And it's because we understand how to allocate the right money based on your market, based on your practice area, based on where you are versus the competition. And really the most importantly is how clients and prospects want to find law firms. So there's a lot of misconceptions because of vanity metrics, because of billboards and TV commercials, all these different things. Let's put that all to bed right here with this funnel that I built for you guys. So if you're not aware of a marketing funnel, this is adapted to the law firm selection process, how prospects do and want to find law firms. Again, this is built on data and I'm presenting you the data, not just my opinion and experience. So at the top of the funnel, we have awareness. These are channels that drive top of mind awareness to prospects. Then we have the recall stage. These are channels that produce leads after the initial decision to hire legal help. Then we have the discovery part, channels that produce leads from prospects seeking legal help, actively seeking legal help. And then finally, the selection process. These are channels that influence the decision process on who to hire. So at the top of the funnel here, right? Again, so many of you want to spend your money on billboards and radio and TV because that's what Morgan & Morgan does, you see, and that's what traditionally people have done. But there's data that shows, this is from a survey, that prospects are aware that there are a lot of law firms to choose from, but recall of specific names is low. So again, the thought process with a lot of law firms is like, we'll put up billboards all over 95 and people are going to see us. And when they need us, we're top of mind. It's not the way it works. It's been proven that people don't recall names and numbers, especially I'm here in Miami, you drive down 95, there's a million billboards. How could I pick out one of them, right? It's a very competitive space. Next up is recall. So 80% of cases come from the 50% lowest income demographic. This is really skewed towards injury and accident, AKA the people who don't have a network to ask around. So a lot of you wonder why you're not getting more referrals, or they're not steady, or they're inconsistent. And that's because a lot of the times that's coming from the network. That's also depending on the type of law that you practice. Sometimes it's private. Sometimes there's fear, there's anxiety, there's especially injury and accident space. Maybe there's fear of peers getting hurt on the job. You don't want to be a snitch, whatever that looks like. So referrals are great. They're going to be your highest close rate, but the number of them that you're actually going to get is going to be few and far between. And you cannot build your business off referrals. You cannot build your business off referrals because they're too few and far between. So red, top, I wouldn't spend my money there. Yellow, obviously don't need to spend money here. These come as they are. It's a really, really good strategy to get more clients, but it's not a great strategy to generate leads, if you know what I'm saying. So next up, discovery channel. So search first channels are king. Google, YouTube, 90% of law firms do not create video content. This is straight up green for me. This is where if I was a law firm, I would be spending all of my money, primarily all my money on the discovery channel. Why? Because these channels have the highest level of intent. You look at things like social media or radio, and you have to get people to stop doing what they're doing and pay attention, and then try and get them to recall for when they need you in the future. If that ever happens, you're casting a very wide net and you're trying to build a brand in a space, frankly, where like brand is not based on seeing a name and a face, it's based on reputation, which is based on reviews, which is based on won cases. A very common misconception in the legal space that you think that the more that you advertise, if you put together the right commercial, get it in front of people, that's going to build a brand. That's not brand at all. And it also shows that the recall rate is really low. But in the legal space, people are actively searching for what you do in the thousands, overwhelmingly in the thousands, in your local market in the thousands, for every practice area, for pretty much every market in the United States. And if you're not being found, they're literally being funneled into your competitors. So organic search, SEO, local SEO, ranking in that maps pack where you see the reviews, all that stuff. pay-per-click ads, local service ads. YouTube is huge, again, because only 8% of law firms actively create video content. That means that there's room for you to actually come in. If you can't rank in Google, if you can't afford to pay for pay-per-click ads, you should be creating video content, because YouTube is the second most used search engine on the planet. And a lot of people in the legal seeking out law firms are going to YouTube to find help, because if you type in Google, I need a lawyer near me, it's really hard to differentiate the results. It's basically, if you're first, great, you'll get a phone call. But on YouTube, there's video, there's engagement, there's an ability to connect with people because of video and the medium and how sticky that medium is. YouTube is a great opportunity for you, but especially because most of you don't want to do because you don't have the time. I get it. And then website content, creating content for your website. All these things, when done in conjunction, should really drive 80 to 90% of the leads for your law firm and 80 to 90% of the clients. Referrals are going to come in. When they come in, that's great, but you need to be highly active on these search first platforms if you really want to be aggressive with lead generation. And then at the bottom, selection process. So people generally don't differentiate between ads and organic. Being found is what matters the most. So again, these are all coming from private surveys. This is coming from real data that shows that what people care about the most when finding a law firm is being found. And where are you being found? You're being found in search engines and on YouTube. If you're not actively there, you're not being found. And that's why you're not generating leads, because you're putting money in the wrong places. So I also obviously love these because these support the search first platform. So we turn on meta ads for Instagram and Facebook for remarketing. So if somebody's been to your website, if they've seen one of your ads on Google before, then we can resurface to them on Facebook. And that's different than sending them ads just generally on Facebook, because if you just send general ads on Facebook to generate leads, you're casting a wide net, just like a billboard. You're basically putting a mobile billboard up saying, hey, if and when you need a divorce attorney, call Ryan, versus setting up ads that say, hey, I know you're going, like, a divorce can be painful, right? Schedule a free consultation, because you know that they are in market because they were searching on Google for that. And now you can remarket that on social media with a very specific call to action that supports their initial search query there. So again, a lot of money is being spent in a lot of the wrong places. In the perfect storm of the most competition. This is why it's so hard for law firms to generate leads. Let's go to Google, because as we talked about, 80 to 90% of your leads are going to come from search first platforms, Google and YouTube. And I know a lot of you are probably sitting there being like, yeah, well, duh, I've invested in SEO or paid search before and it didn't work. Well, let's talk about why it didn't work, because there are so many different pockets or products that are happening within Google search that are, if you're only doing one of them, then you're going to fail, because it's just too competitive anymore. It's just too competitive anymore to just go and be like, hey, I want you to build website content for my blog, or I want you to run paid search ads. It's a silo, it's an ecosystem. Everything on the internet is an ecosystem, especially within Google. We need to connect these things and attack multiple parts of search. So we take the search, Miami DUI lawyer, obviously a very competitive, but also very lucrative search. If you're a criminal defense lawyer, this is shooting fish in the barrel, right? So the first thing that we see here are local service ads, right? You see a picture, you see reviews, you see a phone number, Google screen. These are ads. This is somewhat of a newer product from Google, a couple years old now. These are pay per lead. So you're paying per phone call. Every time that somebody clicks and calls, you're gonna get a phone call. Now, why I love these, obviously because they show up as the first thing in search. Again, especially in injury, accident, DUI, if you're first, you're winning. If you're second, you're last, because what happens is, especially in injury accident, you call this guy Beckham Solis right here. He's like, nah, you don't have a case. What do? They go to Parks and Braxton. And inherently, he's gonna be getting kicked down bad phone calls, because unqualified people that don't have a case, they're just gonna go to the second, and third, and fourth best results. So kind of like that movie, I think it's Talladega Nights. If you're not first, you're last. That's especially happens here. Now, I get a lot of questions about how can I get my LSAs to show up better. I wish I had an answer for you. It's a bit of a coin flip. We actually do these for free for our clients because it's really hit or miss. It really just depends on your market, your practice area. Google has not really done a good job developing this. Now, if you can show up first here, it's shooting fish in a barrel, but that's a big if. So that's number one. But the good thing here is that if they don't impress, if you don't get phone calls, you don't have to pay anything. So it's not like you're wasting money. Two is we see traditional pay-per-click ads. So these are pay per click, right? You can actually put your keywords into a tool that will show you what the estimated cost per click is. So every time somebody clicks on this, they are getting charged, right? And you're sending to a landing page, you're sending to a home page where they can go and engage and ideally convert over time. Now, pay-per-click ads work incredibly well still. Why? Because they're showing up on top. and you have much more control over the keywords that you're showing up for. LSAs is based on category. So you can see that DUI alert, these are going to show up based on categories that Google will associate with keywords, versus pay-per-click ads. You can very hyper specifically target keywords, set negative keywords. So if you're getting bad phone calls, we can track that back to the keyword, shut it off, and you'll never get phone calls from that again. So over time, you can get better and better performance with these over time. Also, with these local service ads, you have to have a verified Google business profile in that market. So for example, these people are in Miami, serves Miami, right? If I change this to Boca or Fort Lauderdale or West Palm Beach, they're not going to show up, right? But you can still show up here anywhere in the country because it's not tied to a physical location. It's just tied to your website. The biggest downside of pay-per-click ads, the cost, especially injury accident, you're looking at a couple $100s per click. And because of your cash collection cycles too, if you don't collect for 3, 6, 9, 12 months, you're locking up a lot of cash flow into these ads because you're going to have to spend $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a month just to compete, just to show up, just to get these leads in. And you got to be willing to burn that cash and eat that cash until you collect over time. Now, they do work, almost guaranteed that they will work. But again, if you don't have the cash flow collection cycles to do that, then it can be a bit of a challenge. So the next up here is what we call a local maps pack. So this is organic. This, our data shows, actually drives 50% of phone calls in Google. So showing up here is probably the most impactful thing you can do for your business because it's organic. You don't have to pay per lead, you don't have to pay per phone call. You're getting free ones, and also users of Google and prospects love this. Why? Because to me, the most engaging part that you can do here without having to click on a website or click on an ad. Why? Because I can see and I can compare. I can come here, I can click on more businesses. These are the local service ads showing up here too. I can compare, I can see location, I can see proximity, I can see reviews, I can click on it, I can see pictures, I can go to the website, I can call. It's by far and away Google's best product for lead search. Now, this is tied to traditional, but also non-traditional SEO things too. So this is what I'm talking about. If you're working with an agency who's just doing SEO and they're not highly focused on optimizing your local presence, your Google business profile, getting reviews, you're not going to show up here. And that's, again, one of the reasons why you fail, because if you're not optimizing for all parts of search, you're going to lose. So then we come down here and we get the traditional organic results. Now, what you'll see here is you see things like Justia, Expertise, Fine Law, Super Lawyers, right? So back in the day, I've been doing this for 15 years. This is what we used to optimize for all the time. Rank first here, you're going to make more money. Now you see what's happening. One is that there's 3 different products on top of this: local service ads, pay-per-click ads, Google Maps, and then here, and then it's also littered with these review aggregator websites. So the amount of real estate there is shrinking. So again, if you're working with an agency and you failed at SEO, it's probably because they weren't looking at the full picture here. They didn't understand what's happening with Google. They didn't understand the full life cycle of how people are searching and how they want to find law firms and what Google wants to show and how they want to show it. So if you want to win in Google, you got to be everywhere. You got to be doing everything. Now, maybe if you're a smaller law firm, you can't afford to do pay-per-click ads. That's fine. You should definitely do local service ads, local SEO, and traditional SEO. And if you can afford pay-per-click ads, I mean, think about it. It's purely a real estate game, right? The more places that you can show up here, the better results that you're going to get, the more leads you're going to get. And the biggest law firms in the country understand this. Morgan & Morgan understands this. That's why you see them everywhere. Not just billboards. They're doing LSAs, they're doing pay-per-click, they're doing SEO. They're doing everything in their power to capture every single lead and phone call because that's what it takes. So like I said, it starts with understanding where you should be investing your money. Search first platforms should get the large lion's share of your budget because that's where people are actively looking for you. And there's also, as I showed you, so much opportunity within those search products for real estate, for results, for phone calls that you got to be hyper present there. So a lot of your budget should be getting pushed in there. Now, when it comes to what the most important things are, I've got them right here for you. One is going to be your local organic pack. So, and again, you can kind of put yourself in the shoes here too. If you're a law firm that's just getting started, that doesn't have a huge budget, this is how I would invest in order. Now, like I said, you're obviously a rising tide raises all ships here. If you're doing traditional SEO and local SEO, they're going to raise each other up. But I'm just giving you kind of like for your understanding of how you should be to talk to your agency, to talk to your freelancer, to talk to your team, whatever you're working with, to understand how and where your emphasis should be put from where the most results are going to come from within search engine. So first is local, the organic maps pack, right? 50% of phone calls come from here. What's also great about the maps pack is that you can only rank here if you have a verified Google business profile. So, a lot of you are looking at like a Morgan & Morgan being like, how do I compete with them? Well, if you're in a market where they don't have a physical office location, that's your opportunity because it's much more democratized there. If you don't have an actual physical office location, Regis's don't work, WeWorks don't work, PO boxes don't work, an actual commercial office space that's verified by Google, then you cannot show up there. So Google's been stripping these things down nonstop. So if you look at your local market, there's probably like 15 to 20 competing law firms that have physical office locations. That's much easier to win at than the traditional SEO results or pay-per-click ads where anybody can enter those. No matter if they have the location or not, if they have the budget, they can put up a landing page, they can pay for some ads, and they can be in that market. The Maps Pack is going to be your number one opportunity. Number two is going to be local service ads because it's tied to your Google local business profile. So it has all the same benefits, local reviews, and again, it's pay per lead, so you don't have to burn out your budget. Three is going to be your pay-per-click ads. Now, I love pay-per-click ads because they show up quickly. You can get results within 10 to 14 days. But again, it depends on your budget, depends what you're willing to spend. And then that's really what this comes down to in the legal space. It's really, what are you willing to spend per client? Not per click, not per lead, per client. Because that's really what you're competing against. You're competing against firms that are willing to outspend you. And that's where ads can get tricky because a lot of you want to dip your toe in the water and be like, well, why don't we just spend $2,000 a month? And it's like, well, because you're only going to get 10 clicks and potentially one phone call. It's not enough to drive an ROI. So you do have to pony up a good amount more cash to get results for pay-per-click ads. But we get like a 95% ROI rate with our clients. It's pretty nuts. They work. Then at the bottom, we have traditional organic and then just the content organic. So this is going to be tied to traditional website things and content on your website. So this is my ranking of how I would invest. Ideally, I would do everything though. This is an ecosystem and search presents the best opportunity for your law firm to get results. So if you need help with this, we're here. This is all that we do. We specialize in helping law firms get more leads from search engines. We've done this for over 75 law firms last year. We have a great track record of results. Beneath this video, there's a link to my calendar. It's my personal calendar. I would love to sit down with you and your team and talk about your law firm, talk about what you've done for marketing in the past, talk about your goals, and then do an audit to show you what's holding you back from getting more leads and phone calls within search engines. So the link is below. Hopefully I'll talk to you soon.